All right, guys, and welcome back to episode 11 of the Designated Players Podcast. It has been a very long night. We have been through a ton of schedule changing here. We had a guest scheduled for today who unfortunately could not make it, so we had to scramble last minute to bring you this episode, which I think is going to be a fantastic episode. I'm really excited for this one. We are going to go ahead and give you our best 11 for the decade. So goalkeeper, two center backs, two outside backs, center defensive mid, attacking mid, left mid, left wing, right wing. It's a little bit tougher out there on the wings, and then two strikers. A little bit of honorable mentions for each. And I think it's exciting. You know, we've been looking at this for the last 2 hours trying to figure this out, and I think we got some pretty good shouts in here. So this should be a lot of fun. But of course, we never go past the beginning of an episode without Scarf of the Week. We're not even going to bother with Connor this week. We already know. So, Adam, go ahead.
I've just got my USA. I don't remember where I got this from.
That's really nice.
I like this one.
And then I am out of soccer scarves officially. I have used my last one. So I tried to keep it as soccer themed as I could, and I went with Rangers, like Scotland, Rangers, blue and red. I tried, but hey, I got my Olympiacos kit for Random Kit Monday, so get in.
Sure.
And then Connor, you got a random kit, so I'll give you random kit. Oh wait, it's the same one you used already.
Yeah.
Oh, Connor. It's great. We one of these days Connor's gonna have something new for us and it's gonna blow us out of the water. But until then,
you're in water?
Kentucky's completely underwater right now.
Oh.
Yeah, it's mental. Middle of the country, completely underwater. Unreal.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's tough. All right, jump right into it. Best 11 from the 2010s. We're going to go with goalkeeper. I'll start us off because, as you all know, I used to be a goalkeeper.
Never knew that.
No.
I was very good.
Yeah.
If I didn't get injured, I'd have a lot more things up on this Alfred area, like Player of the Year, All-American, probably my jersey retired somewhere over here. I don't know. But anyways, 3 goalkeepers immediately came to mind for myself and for, I believe, all of us, between Nick Rimando, Luis Robles, and Stefan Fry. And for me, Nick Rimando had to take it for me. He holds literally every record from this time period. And it all started in 2010. Like from the beginning of the decade, he was unreal. 20 goals in 30 games in 2010. That's stupid. 568 minutes without conceding a goal. MLS All-Star for 6 out of the 10 years. Multiple USMNT call-ups. Penalty shot saving master. No denying that he was one of the best. He was never one of my favorites, right? I think I've said it before here that I know he's good. I know he's great, and that's why he's my keeper of the decade, but he was never one of my favorite players. He just looked at him and was like, doesn't do anything for me. But if you look at his numbers this decade, no question, best of the best. Shout out Luis Robles, obviously a fan favorite, but outside of the bias of that, he has his Iron Man streak. The dude could not be taken out of goal. 3 supporter shields and, multiple Save of the Years, Save of the Year nominations. The dude just was very, very good. Had a men's national team call-up finally. And if you ask Shep Messing, he should still be there, but we're not going to get into that. And then Stefan Fry as well, just because the dude wins everything that he does, right? 2 MLS Cups, a Supporter Shield, a U.S. Open Cup, tons of other trips to the championship games. So all 3 of those came to mind, and I think that it all stands true for you as well. But do you guys have any disagreements with me on there?
No, I mean, I had the same 3 on my list. I think I agree pretty much with Nick Rimando. He was never one of the guys I thought of necessarily as the best, but he was always one of those guys who was just there. He was quietly, or maybe not so quietly, just always consistent, always doing his thing in that RSL team. I mean, that's usually one of the marks of a good player is he's never, like, if he goes unnoticed, then that usually means he's doing his job, especially for a goalkeeper. Like, you make one mistake as a goalkeeper, everyone notices. But if you don't do anything all game and you just make the saves you're supposed to, then good for you. Like, that no one has anything to argue with.
Oh yeah, I'm well aware. I made multiple mistakes as a goalkeeper, and everybody laughed at me.
Fair. That's not why they were laughing. Honorable mention to maybe not the best goalkeeper, but certainly my favorite MLS goalkeeper in existence. It is the legendary all-orange man himself, the human traffic cone, Josh Saunders. No, just obviously I'm kidding.
Josh
He deserves to not be remotely anywhere close to this conversation, but had to throw him in there.
I don't know. I disagree. He was Red Bull's best player when we
Oh
played
my
the
God,
Derby.
here
So
we
I don't
go.
know. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, quiet there,
He was
Cone.
everyone's best player that season.
Cone, who is yours?
For me, it was really tight between Robles and Ramondo. But yeah, I kind of agree. I think it's got to be Ramondo. And I slid in Stefan in there, but I know that obviously he hasn't played enough. But I thought he was easily talented enough that if he had the games that Ramondo had, like the number of games, I think I would have chose him.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you're going to see a lot of players in this list where they either left too early, got in the league too late, didn't play enough in the beginning of the career or whatever, that they definitely should be on the list. But in terms of an entire decade, they didn't crack the top 11. So that's definitely going to be a theme here. And I tend to agree, right? I think Stefan clearly clear and away one of the best goalkeepers the U.S. has produced in a long time. And it'll be interesting to see what he can do in England. He's already showing his worth in Germany, but we'll see what he can do to go on. But you're right. If he stayed here, I think he breaks tons of records, and I think he becomes one of the best goalkeepers the league's ever seen. But
Probably best that he's leaving though.
oh,
For his
absolutely.
career.
For his career, for the national team, for everybody, and for Red Bull, because now Columbus don't have him.
True. Eloy Room is a decent replacement.
Oh yeah, no, they did well bring in a second, but yeah, no, there's no problem with him out of there because he stopped us multiple times. Now we just got to get Bill Hamid out the door and we'll be good to go.
Bill Hamid's going to play until he's 80.
Yeah,
Just
we already saw what
despite it.
happened when they tried to get rid of him once.
Yeah.
He just comes right back. It's like a boomerang. Why don't we
Boomerang
move-
Bill.
What's that?
Said Boomerang Bill.
Boomerang Bill, yeah. Why don't we move into center backs? I think this is going to be a very interesting conversation because there are a few people that can fill this role here. But Connor, I want to throw this to you.
All right, so I have 4 guys on my list. I'll start with the 2 that I didn't end up choosing. One of them is Matt Beasler.
Okay.
He played 258 games during the decade. He was 1-time MLS Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time All-Star, and also won MLS Cup 1 time. And I think just like his longevity in the league, you know, he's not obviously the most talented, but he's always been there, and he's always been like a top center back, even if he's not the best. You know, his accolades show it. But there's better guys out there. One of the more current guys that I also didn't go with, Ike Opara. 180 games, 2-time MLS Defender of the Year, and also won MLS Cup. Again, another really solid guy. He's just been around for a while, still going strong with the Loons. But I just think that there's a couple of guys that are like more well known in the league. They're legends, and I think I had to put them in there. One of which, Michael Parkhurst, 186 games, 3-time All-Star, won MLS Cup with the best team in the league easily. And then my other center back, I went with Chad Marshall, 242 games, 1-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time MLS Cup, 1-time Supporter Shield. I think widely known, he's, for many people, I'm sure, the best defender in MLS history. So I think he's got to go on this list.
I like your list. I think it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, this 11 might be very short because apparently we all picked the same players. Um,
That definitely won't be the case.
well, no, probably not once we get into the attack and stuff. But I also obviously had Chad Marshall. I think that's self-explanatory. I don't really need to justify that. But I had put Matt Beasler in instead of Michael Parkhurst just because he's been in the league a bit longer. And as far as I've been following this league, that SKC back line has been pretty ridiculous.
with the exception of last year.
Yes,
Yeah.
true. But I remember the days of Jimmy Madranda, Graham Zusi, Beasler. Like, that team was silly at points.
Yeah, they had Ike too.
Yeah.
Yep, and then sitting in front was Illy Sanchez and Roger Espinoza, and break your leg if you try and get by me.
Exactly.
Benny Feilhaber in his prime pulling the strings. Kai Kamara. Oh, God.
They should have been so good.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's another one that just quietly does his job and is just Mr. Consistent, I think, in that SKC team.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my two picks.
Any honorable mentions?
Yeah, so I put Drew Moore. I mean, I love me some Colorado guys. Now Drew Moore is playing Colorado. I debated. I have Omar Gonzalez on here. I know. But the time he spent with the Galaxy was – you can't overlook it. I mean, he did spend the later part of the decade playing in Mexico, but is now back with Toronto and is doing fairly consistent at 37. I don't even know how old the man is, but
Too old.
he's getting up there. But I just remember him in that early part of the decade with the Galaxy, and that Galaxy team was silly.
I agree with you. I don't want to, but I agree with you. As much as I dislike Omar Gonzalez and his slow old body.
Yeah, I mean, compare
he was
that
with
Galaxy. Compare that Galaxy backline to what it is now.
Oh yeah.
True. Very true.
Unreal stuff. Chad Marshall for me. Yep, right. We already talked about it. Consistent, best 11, defender of the year. No questions, no problems. Matt Beasler is also in my starting 11 because Michael Parkhurst's biggest achievements were all before the 2010 season. And when we didn't make this disclaimer, and we should, any achievement that you had, that these players had before the 2010 year, not taken into account. So, for example, Michael Parkhurst was Defender of the Year, and I believe Supporter Shield, maybe Open Cup. I know he won something with New England in 06-07, but I didn't count that because it was before 2010, and then he left, and he only came back in 2014. Matt Beasler, on the other hand, started with KC in the early 10s, is what I'll call it, won 3 U.S. Open Cups, including knocking RBNY out of the final in 2017, an MLS Cup in 2013, 2 Gold Cup winning sides, and went to the World Cup, 337 appearances for SKC, which, as we've already spoken about, was one of the league's best defensive teams for a long time. I think you got to put him in there. I think Ike Opara is probably another good shout. I didn't put him on my honorable mention because I don't know why. I just didn't. I think he probably should be. Now, because I think I just overlooked him as being FIFA good, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
Marvell Wynn was FIFA good, but Marvell Wynn doesn't make any decade team ever. Yeah.
Marvell Wynn had 96 pace and like 15 defending.
Yeah, exactly.
He would make the fastest FIFA team decade.
Oh yeah.
There you go. That's the decade.
There you go. That's what we'll give him. But right. So when I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, what did he do? But I forgot he had 2 Defender of the Year, with one with Minnesota and one with SKC. So he definitely should be in here. And then I also put Drew Moore as an honorable mention. Colorado's MLS winning cup captain, Toronto's treble winning team. He didn't captain that, but he was a big part of that 5-man back line. And then 3 Canadian championships, right? He's got a nice resume. You can't really deny it. And we all love a little bit of Drew Moore. So
true.
Go on, Drew.
Yeah. Well, I'm always gonna pick Parkey over Beasler. It's bias.
We are doing zero bias here. Did you see that I didn't put Robles as the best goalkeeper of the decade? No bias.
I'm putting bias. I don't care.
Don't
And
worry.
I didn't include his achievements from before 2010. So just the three All-Stars for
Just
Parkey.
wait until we get to the midfield, and you'll see that bias is not playing a part in this team.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mess.
It's going to be bad. But anyways, why don't we go into left back? And Adam, what do you got?
Gee, I wonder who it could be. It's a certain extremely fast Jamaican that we didn't feel like paying.
That's weird. That's not the nationality of Reese Buckmaster.
No, I said left back.
Oh, Connor Lade.
Yeah. Obviously, it's Kamar
Jamaican.
Lawrence. Yeah, I'll say Connor Lade is definitely not Jamaican. At least not that I know of. But Kamar Lawrence, I mean, I struggled to think of another one, but that might just be myself as a Red Bull fan, but I think it's hard to kind of overlook what he did when he came into the league. Not necessarily the best defender. I mean, yes, he's very good at defending, but just watching him bomb up that left side game after game, and then he was quick enough that should we lose the ball, he was back in a position to defend in like 2 seconds. We've spoken at length about how big a hole that is now in the Red Bull team. Ryan Seacrest, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, his name's Patrick, but that's okay.
Nope. It's Ryan Seacrest. I refuse until he does a good game. I call him by his real name. But yeah, I mean, 2 supporter shields, MLS All-Star. Don't know why we didn't feel like paying the man, but I wish him all the luck playing in Belgium.
Well, from a non-Red Bull fan, let's go take it over to the Big Cone and see what he's got.
So I did have Kamar on my list also, but I didn't end up choosing him. Another honorable mention that I had was Justin Morrow.
Okay.
He had 244 games, 1-time All-Star, 2-time MLS Cup, 1-time Supporter Shield. He's got the accolades for it.
Please say Greg Garza is your left back. I will literally punch you through this.
No, it's not Greg Garza. I promise. So I know this guy wasn't here the whole time, but
okay. I think if you say who I think you're going to say, I will let you off.
DeMarcus Beasley.
Yes, I will let you off.
There.
Yeah. So 122 games for the decade, 2-time All-Star. He wasn't here the whole time, but when he was a great player for Houston.
Yep. All right. You get a pass. However, it's not a question. It is not an argument. Kamar Lawrence is the best left back in the league this decade, probably in the entire history of the league, and maybe the best player the league's ever seen. There is no argument, and if you see him play, you know he's true. Speech over, Ron Swanson.
I think he was probably the league's best left back before he left.
Oh,
I agree.
He absolutely was. There's no question, right?
Yeah.
So you got to combine everything, right? His speed, his attacking ability, his service, and his attitude when he was in big games. Yeah. I'm looking at you, Villalba. Yeah. Sit down. Give me some of that. Yeah. Wah. Bro, that you don't, like I said, you think Seacrest is going to get into the face of, like, Joseph Martinez and give him a little baby rock? No. Like,
Joseph would eat him.
It's the little things, right? It's the little things that you don't see anymore that I think we probably didn't pay him enough that what he wanted, but whether we gave him what he wanted or not, he was leaving because of the way the team's been moving. We can have a whole episode on that. I'm not going to worry about it. Sure. But my honorable mention was also Justin Morrow, just because he was so vital in the treble. He really brought to light the attacking fullback role. It was him and Kamar the whole time, but it was really him because they won it all, right? Like, if we won everything, Kamar would have been the staple of what an attacking left back would have been. But, Morrow did the winning, and I'm pretty sure he scored a hat trick against Red Bull at one point. And that kind of cements it as, he should definitely be considered there as well. But yeah, no, shout to Morrow. He fallen off the face of the earth, but he got himself a few national team call-ups for that as well. So good for you.
I want to say one player, maybe not in the same league as a Kamar or a DeMarcus Beasley, but I think he's a sneaky if we look at this in another 5 years when he's probably done playing, he may be that level like right below is Ali Adnan.
Interesting.
He's sneaky good sometimes.
Let's come back to this when we do this episode again in 5 years, we'll come back to it.
Fair.
Yeah. I'd like to see. I want to see Valenzuela in 5 years. I think he could have the potential to be the best.
Well,
Abubakar?
Lawless.
He's a center back.
He's whatever he wants. No, he's played right back.
Has he?
Yeah.
Have they? I figured that was Rosenberry's spot, but alas.
I think he played there for Columbus a few games.
He might have.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we move into right back then? Because right backs are fun.
Yeah.
And I think this goes to me. Hello, Stephen Betashore.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody saw this one coming. Why? Because I didn't know this was coming. I was doing some research on this, and I didn't know any right back that I was going to put in there. Because, again, these are positions that don't get the spotlight, right? But Stephen Betashore was drafted by San Jose in 2010, helped them to their Supporters' Shield win in 2012, bounced around a little bit in Canada until he landed with his team called Toronto, which a year later went on to be the first treble winner in MLS history.
Never heard of him.
And then he makes this cheeky little free transfer to a club called LAFC. Oh, no, that's LAFC, which actually went on to set the points record the next year after they signed him. So everywhere he bounces around, he gets really, really good and gets good teams and makes them do good. So right backs are really hard to find. And he's got an MLS Cup, 3 Supporters' Shield, 3 Canadian championships, and the only other person who really could compete with him, I think, is Reese Buckmaster. But no, my honorable mention is AJ De La Garza. He played right back for the most dominant postseason stretch in MLS history for LA Galaxy. He's got 3 MLS Cups, 2 Supporters' Shields, and a USOC. Really solid, underlooked. And I also shout out Harrison Awful. Not really, he didn't win a lot, but I just like the way he plays. Like he's another one of those Kamar Lawrence type. Like I'm just gonna go in and smash you. He just hasn't won anything. So those are mine.
Yeah, I am totally fine with putting Stephen Betashore, and I again didn't think that for whatever reason he was a right back. There's no reason why I didn't think that, but I kind of cheated and put Graham Zusi at right back in my team. I know he's a left back. I know he's a left winger, striker. Guy plays every position on the field. But I feel like he played right back for SKC at one point.
He does. He plays right back now.
Yeah. I mean, I can't – again, I said this when we were talking about Matt Beasler and that back line. I can't remember a time when he wasn't playing in this league. I mean, he's just that guy – who's always there. He's always there for the national team, whether we want him there or not. But he's, again, like a Kamar Lawrence, where he has that attacking ability to just get down that wing, whip in a ball for whoever's up top, score an odd goal there, here and there. I mean, but no, I'm Stephen Betashore, I think, wins it over him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd go Betashore also. And then I think I have my honorable mentions are also Zusi and then Harrison Affle. Pretty much everything you guys covered already.
I'm just trying to look in to see who we need to credit for turning Graham Zusi into a right back and ruining all of our lives, but that's for another day. No, the Graham Zusi going to right back just made his pro career that much longer because he wasn't cutting it as an attacking midfield, that's for damn sure.
If Alan Polito, God forbid, ever gets injured, then I'm convinced he's the next up top.
Oh God.
Oh man, that'd be something.
I wouldn't be surprised, dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Center defensive mid. Cone man.
Do we have to?
Looking at?
All right, so I feel like I'm definitely gonna miss some names here, but I got 4 names on here. I got Dax, obviously, 291 games, 2-time All-Star, 2-time Supporters' Shield. I've got Kyle Beckerman, 270 games, 5-time All-Star, 1-time MLS Cup. I got Michael Bradley, 163 games, 3-time All-Star, 2-time Cup, 1-time Supporters' Shield. And then the last one, I went with Juninho, 210 games, one-time All-Star, three-time Cup, two-time Supporter Shield. And out of those four, it's tough, but I'm tempted to say Beckerman.
Okay. Why?
The five-time All-Star thing really stands out to me. I mean, I wasn't following the league back when I'm sure he won most of them, but out of when I was researching, that's probably the most All-Stars I've seen out of like anybody I picked. So you got to imagine that he was just dominant for a time.
So
Yeah.
so remember when you said you were gonna miss some big names?
Yeah, I know I was gonna miss some big. I was just trying to crunch in stuff as fast as I could.
I'm gonna send this to Adam to yell at you, because if I yell at you, I'm gonna yell at you for the next hour.
I put Michael Bradley in my team. I'm not happy about it.
I hate all of you.
I know, but I see the argument for Beckerman. I get it. The man's like 300 years old, was still doing a job at that holy mid. But the success that Michael Bradley had with Toronto, I kind of was more impressed with. At least that might be just because that happened a bit more recently. I know who Andrew's going to pick.
Because I told you before this.
Yes, we spoke about this beforehand. But my vote for Michael Bradley. And if you know anything about me, that physically hurts me to say.
If you can see me, you can see it hurts me even more.
Oh, just wait.
So here's what I'm going to say to both of you. Michael Bradley's an 8 out of 6. So he doesn't make tackles. Kyle Beckerman just didn't make tackles, period, because he was playing next to, oh my God, what was his name? RSL had that stupid enforcer next to him that did all the dirty work, and he just picked up the ball and started going. I forget what his name is. I'll look it up later. Do the names Diego Chara or Ozzy Alonso ring a bell to anybody?
Yes, they did.
Anybody. Yeah. You know, the two best center defensive mids in the last, 10 years. Literally, when you think of the sixth position, you think of N'Golo Kante, Claude Makelele,
Fact.
Diego Chara, and Ozzy Alonso. It's those four.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but
No, but seriously. Diego Chara, who was my pick, by the way.
yeah.
740 tackles and almost 400 interceptions in 224 appearances. You know how stupid those numbers are? It's absurd. That is almost 3 to 4 tackles a game and almost 2 interceptions a game. You know how hard that is to do in 90 minutes for 200 games, 230 games straight? The other guys needed at least 350 appearances to make 500 tackles. Put that into perspective. And then, this is my favorite one. This is my kicker. Diego Chara has this really cool stat attached to his name that goes something like this. When Diego Chara doesn't play, Portland doesn't win. They went 22 games where Chara didn't play, and they did not win. Thank you, NYCFC, for breaking that stat, you bums. Ruining my point.
Were you thinking of Javi Mo?
No, Javi Mo was an attacking midfielder. I'll look it up. I remember.
Luis Heel.
No, Luis Hill wasn't there when RSL
2015 he was there.
roster. Luis Hill was there 2015?
Yeah.
Good thing for editing, because we'll be able to edit all this.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Coaches, RSL, CDMs. I don't know. I will find it at one point. We'll talk about it later. But
Okay.
I know they played with 2. And team guide, 215 passing accuracy.
Say it's not that big a deal. I was trying to find it while you were talking.
Yeah, now I'm just bothered because I don't see it. You know who I might be thinking of?
No.
Was it Ned Grabavoy?
Yeah.
I think it might have been Ned Grabavoy, 2014 Ned Grabavoy, who just went in and just stuck tackles like it was nobody's business. Yeah, Ned Grabavoy. But anyways, back to that. Yeah, so about this guy called Diego Chara. Yeah, when he doesn't play, Portland don't win, which means that when he plays, he's very, very good, which means he's the best center defensive mid in this decade. Ozzie Alonso's a close second because he's a loon and because he made Seattle's number 6 position, like, famous. And then Dax is third because he's a Red Bull legend, Ginger awesome, Ginger Ninja. And then the rest of them can kind of just go that way because I don't care. Diego Chara, Ozzie Alonso, Dax McCarty, in that order, fight me. That was fun.
I don't disagree with you.
Adam, who do you have a Cam? Because I can't talk about the CDM anymore. I'm going to start yelling.
Who do I have a Cam? I have.
Oh no, I'm going to start yelling at you again.
Yes, I was going to say you brought this on yourself now. So Andrew and I talked about this beforehand. He's generously allowed me to create this person as a Cam because
I did not allow you.
No, he did. He specifically said this is totally fine. I'm okay.
This is awful.
Sebastian Giovinco
is a striker.
No, he's not.
That's not a Cam.
Not in my team.
Your team is stupid.
Fine. I couldn't not make this team without putting him in here. And when we get to the strikers, there's just too much competition. So in order for me to get him in, I put him at Cam. So deal with it. But I mean, MLS MVP in his first season. He's got the most combined. He's got the record for the combined goals and assists in a season. And there were just points in that Toronto team where some of the goals he scored, just the chips from nowhere, the runs past 5 defenders, cough, Red Bulls, cough. He was just silly at one point. So yeah, Andrew, yell at me and tell me why I'm right.
All right, so here's my 2 arguments.
Yeah.
The striker.
Okay.
When did he join the league?
2015.
When did he leave?
2017.
So you're gonna give him 3 seasons and call him the best attacking mid in the decade.
Yes, because of what he did when he was in this league. He left in 2018.
This is the same man who's going to put Zlatan in his striker spot. Like
I'm not. Not to give anything
you might
away.
as well at this point because that's what you're saying. You're saying forget about anything before 2015. That's what you're saying.
68 goals and 56 assists in 114 games.
Yes, go ahead. Throw Josef in there too.
I can't. He's only got one leg. He's not playing right now.
Exactly.
I can't throw him in this team.
Connor, go ahead.
I did not pick Sebastian Giovinco.
Surprise.
I'll be glad to know.
Good boy.
Amazed.
I'll start with honorable mentions. One of them hasn't played long enough, so I can't pick him, but he's just so crazy good that I had to throw him in there. But Lodero.
Okay.
He's great, but he hasn't played long enough. He's only got 101 games, but he's already a 2-time MLS Cup champion. He's already an all-star. Another honorable mention, Sasha Kljestan. Obviously, have to put him in there. Like, I know I'll get ragged on if I don't, but he deserves to be in there, in my opinion. He's got 162 games, all-star. He's got Sport Shield. But my choice for central attacking midfielder is Diego Valeri. He's got MLS Cup MVP. He was MLS MVP, 4-time All-Star, played over 200 games. He's won MLS Cup. he's just been so good for Portland for years now. I think he deserves it.
Look, somebody with a brain.
You said before we recorded you would allow me to put Tim Cahill in here as my cam, but he also played striker. So your rules make no sense.
Tim Cahill is a natural midfielder who played striker because we had nobody else to play.
Your rules don't apply to my team.
You might as well call Thierry Henry a left midfielder.
I can. We haven't gotten to
You
left
will.
mid
I
yet.
know
You don't know
you
who
will.
I'm putting there.
I also had Diego Valeri for the same exact reason. 151 points in 231 appearances. MLS Cup MVP, MLS MVP. Just he got the ball and you got excited because this dude could play. And he made Portland scarier because not only could he score, he found the pass. He could serve the cross. He could find the split through ball. Everything he did was just spot on. And he's one of the main reasons they won MLS Cup in 2016? 2016. Yes, 2016. Don't quote me on that. Anyways, over the course of this day, there's nobody better than him because he's done it since 2013. He didn't come in 2015, do it for a little bit, and then leave in 2017 and think he was really good. Honorable mention for me, Sasha Question as well. No bias on this one because I think a lot of people know that I wasn't a huge fan of him in his last season and a half where his work rate in our high pressing system kind of just fell off. However, I think he is the main reason BWP was as prolific as he was, right? He set the assist records. He saw passes nobody else could, and it was just a lot of fun to watch him play because he was so good on the ball. However, he was only a part of one Supporter Shield team. So just the fact that he didn't win a lot with us didn't let him break in for me. That's just for me. And then I also want to put in, if we're talking about players who only played a short amount of time but are really good, to give Connor a little bit of enjoyment, give him a little bit of Miguel Marone. I think if that dude stays here for 3 years, like your buddy Seba did, he's better than Seba. But that's just me.
That's a debate for another time.
Yeah, it is. Left mid, left wing. I believe this is over to me. Is it me now?
I don't know. Can we,
yes.
Before we go to, can we just mention Kaká? I know he wasn't in here for a long time, but
no.
Okay. I'm not. Again, I didn't put him on the team, but
no. The reason I'm saying that is not for anything sarcastic, even though it was kind of funny the way I said that because I'm really funny.
Yeah.
He was awful.
True.
Just because
in fairness, he wasn't awful.
Oh my God, you're not gonna play this card on me again.
I mean, dude, look at that team. Who was he giving the ball to?
Kyle Larin.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's how you stop him. Give him a good answer. Left mid, left wing for me. I'll go honorable mention first, like Connor does. I like the way you do it, Connor. That's really nice. Good job.
Wow, a compliment from you. Are you feeling well?
No, because I've been yelling at Adam all day.
There.
Ignacio Piatti is my honorable mention at left mid, left wing. Literally Montreal's only good attacking player for like 9 years. As Dominic Odoro's missing breakaways and Marco De Maio offsides 90 times a game, he's the one scoring goals. So shout to you. But again, didn't win a lot, right? He has maybe one.
That's not his fault.
He has maybe one Canadian championship. But you know who has a lot of titles and title appearances?
Sebastian Giovinco.
Brad Davis from Houston. Yeah, I'm going way back with this one.
Go away with Brad Davis.
All Houston legend helps his team to the MLS Cup Finals in the epic saga of LA Galaxy versus Houston, 2011, 2012. He lost them both times, but he is the reason Houston got there. He didn't score a ton, but he set up his teammates all the time. He had 6 8+ assist seasons in the 7 years he was here, 8 goals in 2012, and he was good enough to make the 2014 World Cup roster and play against Germany.
Yeah, in a game that didn't matter.
Oh, my God. If we're talking about games that didn't matter, any game against FCC just wouldn't count.
Facts.
The guy was very underlooked, I think. When you looked at the promos for LA versus Houston, Brad was always the face of the team. They had their players around him, but it was always Brad Davis. And, he went off to SKC for a little bit after he kind of dropped off, but, he was Houston for a long time. And I think Brad Davis deserves to be on this team. I think he's done a lot for his team and especially for the lack of winger talent, I'll say, as we'll get into at our right mid spot. I think he was probably one of the better ones that we've seen.
I put Piatti.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. I think it's a shout.
Yeah.
This isn't Sebastian Giovinco bad.
That's just not true. But it's the same reasoning. I mean, Giovinco actually won stuff, but the fact that Piatti hasn't won as much as he probably should have isn't down to Piatti.
Okay.
It's just, again, like you said, it's down to Dominic Oduro missing easy breakaways.
See, that is an argument you can make. Saying that Kaká is bad because of the team around him was not an argument to make because he wasn't. He just was old. It's like saying Pirlo wasn't bad when he first came to NYC because the team around him was awful.
No, Pirlo just didn't care. He was also playing – Pirlo is weird. I think Pirlo would have done better in a different team. And I'm not saying that because of his teammates. I'm saying that because NYC played in a 5-by-5 field, and Pirlo's the reason you bring him in is to spray long balls that no one else can. You can't do that if he's going to ping a long ball and it's going to go over right field into the stands. Not his fault. But, yeah, I was disappointed Piatti left this season. I think seeing what he could have done with Henry, with him and Bojan probably up top, I think that would have been pretty cool, especially with a tight air, a Lapalainen. I mean, guys we've spoken about. So he makes my team. My honorable mentions were 2 Red Bulls. In the name of Andrew, can you guess?
Left-sided.
One left-sided, one right-sided, but I just threw them both on the same side because why not?
Did you put Thierry as a winger?
No.
Okay. Are you gonna put Danny Royer in there?
No, but I thought about it.
I thought about it too for a little bit.
I did too.
I put Lloyd Sam.
Okay.
I like Lloyd Sam and Mike Grella.
Okay.
The 2 outside mids were a challenge.
Yeah, they were definitely tough.
We were saying before, I'm convinced that every team for the first 5-6 years of the decade played a 4-4-2 with 4 center mids, no one out wide, and just let their outside backs attack. The outside mid position did not exist except for a David Beckham. Anyone else? Oh, I want to play outside mid. No. You're going to play as a tucked in central mid, and that's what you do. Deal with it.
Yep. Connor, what do you got?
I had Piatti, and I had 0 honorable mentions, but I thought about Royer, but I also didn't think that he did enough or hasn't been around long enough to be considered best of the decade. But granted, the position is really weak. But, Piatti for me. Best left mid. Easy.
All right. Right mid. This was a fun one. Connor, what do you got?
There's literally one player it can be.
I don't even know who the one player could be. Mine's definitely not that.
Who'd you play?
Maybe I shouldn't go. Maybe Adam should go first.
Right, Adam, go ahead.
Are we going to pretend David Beckham doesn't exist?
All right. Let's see. Go ahead. Make your case.
What do you mean make my case? We literally named our podcast based on the rule that he came over here. He won back-to-back MLS Cups. He won back-to-back Supporter Shields at the beginning of the decade. As well on the field stuff, he was ridiculous at points. Free kicks, crosses, whatever, to Landon Donovan, Robbie Keane. I forget who else was up there for the Galaxy, but
It's in
although
Ball.
yeah, well, I chose to ignore him. But I think all the off the field stuff should kind of factor in as well. I mean, he I don't want to say is the face of the league, but at the time he kind of was. I mean, MLS was in not the greatest place when he joined. And he joined straight from a Real Madrid team, like arguably in his prime at a time where that was unheard of. European players did not do that unless they were 40 and went to teams on ridiculous contracts that like they didn't care necessarily about. Yes, Andrew.
I got a question.
What?
When did he leave the Galaxy?
I don't know, like 3 years later.
I have an answer. 2012.
On
Yeah.
Wikipedia, it says 2012.
Yeah.
I'm not putting a player who's played 2 years in the decade of 2010 into my best team of the decade. So that's why he's not on my team.
Who did you? I know who you put in, but
You don't know. I don't think I told you who I put in.
you didn't. But I have a guess.
Who's your guess? Just out of curiosity.
Hold on. I want to put in just one more argument for Beckham, that this man had the foresight to put in his contract for the Galaxy that one day he gets an expansion team. Who thinks of that?
I forgot. The only reason he put him in here is because he's the owner of his favorite team.
No, well, no, he doesn't own Colorado.
Bet.
But I think that's nuts to say. Like, how many players do you think could sign for a team and be like, yeah, one day you have to guarantee me that I get to own a team in the league?
I think the reason he did it was because he knew what he was bringing to the league. He knew that he could make it grow just on his own, and he knew that the price of an expansion team was going to exponentially increase. So he said, here's the price right now. When I come back and want to build a team, it stays at that price. That's brilliant, right? That's brilliant marketing. But yeah, I'm not putting a player who played 2 years. That's the same reason why. I'll give a little spoiler here. The same reason Robbie Keane isn't in my start. Isn't in my 11.
Fair.
Here for 3 years. Like, there are players who played here longer and did equally, or if not better. That I can't just go ahead and say, "Oh, I remember you. You played in Europe. Give it to me." No.
Fine. Who do you have?
I have Mauro Rosales because this is a very thin position. However, he's got a supporter shield, 2 U.S. Open Cups, and a Canadian Championship, 15 goals and 44 assists in 170 appearances between 4 different clubs. He's good on the ball, and he stuck around for a while. And as we mentioned before, nobody played outside mids. So there's very few players we can put into this position. But I think him, and I also had I had 2 honorable mentions. My first one was Michael Barrios for FC Dallas for the same reason. He just has less things that he won. He won a U.S. Open Cup and a supporter shield. And he has basically the same thing. He's a lot of assists, a bunch of goals, lots of appearances just for FC Dallas in the last 5 years. But my biggest honorable mention is actually somebody you put as your honorable mention for left wing.
Lloyd Sam?
Big Lloyd Sam. Right mid.
Sam was good.
Oh, man, he was so good. It's just he has 2 supporter shields to his name, tricky, exciting. And there's no bias in this. As we mentioned, there's no bias in this podcast this week at all.
None.
So Lloyd Sam, I mean, realistically, I probably should have put him in my team for no bias whatsoever. But yeah, I think Mauro Rosales quietly was very, very good at right mid. But again, right, if you're looking at all of the angles, it's very difficult to put in players that have only played here 2 years.
Lloyd Sam was the first Red Bull that when he left, I was like actually upset.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I remember that. I remember I was like, oh, he left. I remember Tim Ream left.
And because he went to DC, I think that was part of it.
Yes, that was a big one too. But I remember Tim Ream left, and I was like, oh, man, we sold Tim Ream. That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And then I saw Lloyd Sam left, and I was like, oh, my God, Lloyd Sam is gone.
Yeah,
what am I going to do?
Yeah, that was disappointing.
Yeah. Connor.
Yeah. So I got 2 honorable mentions. One of them was Barrios as well. And my other one was Sebastian Blanco, but
Okay.
he hasn't played enough to
Right.
really obviously get the spot. Oh, my pick is kind of. I don't love it. I really don't. I don't feel good about it. But I went with Fabian Castillo.
I knew you were going there. I saw his name on the list of right mids, and I knew you were going there.
Yeah, he played enough time there. He went from 2011 to 2016. I didn't even realize it was that long that he was there. But he was like, for me at least, he's one of the earliest, like really strong wing players that I remember in MLS. Like before the Velas, before the I don't even know Rossi's, before the Dialbas. He was like the first one that I remember being like a stud on the wing. So I had to go with him.
I think Connor has the best shot out of all of us. I think it's a really good pick because you explained it very, very well. He was there for 7 years, pretty much, or 6 years, and you're right. He was one of the first people that we were like, "Oh my God, this dude is fierce! Like this dude's mental." And because of such a small pool to pick from, I like that shout, Connor. I do.
Thanks, Andrew.
He was probably the first one that like they put him in that little diamond in the midfield, and he's like, no, I'm gonna go where I'm supposed to be.
We don't do that in Colombia. This is how we.
Like, no.
The final position.
Oh boy, this is gonna be fun.
It's gonna be.
This is gonna be a mess because we either all have the same two.
We don't.
A ton of honorable mentions, or this is gonna be awful. So
Guaranteed we don't have the same two.
Connor.
Oh boy.
No
I
pressure.
gotta start it off.
No pressure.
All right, so let's get some guys out of the way that I think were super amazingly talented, but just didn't have enough time.
You can just say Josef. You don't have to give him the whole speech.
All right, he's in there, but he's not. Josef's in there. Sebastian Giovinco. I put him as a striker just to make you happy.
Fine.
Robbie Keane, David Villa.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, those are my 4 for the short time. So then I have 3 names left. I gotta go with 2. All right. So my other honorable mentions, he's been around for a long time. Kai Kamara. Obviously, 259 appearances in this league. I just think that number of games alone should at least get you an honorable mention. Just he's stuck around for so long. But he never really has the accolades. I think he only just has 1 All-Star appearance for the decade. So then my 2 strikers, Bradley Wright Phillips and Chris Wondolowski.
Yes.
Gross.
Go ahead.
I don't even think Wando needs any explanation. He's a 2-time Golden Boot. He was MLS MVP. He was MLS MVP, 5-time All-Star, 2-time Supporter Shield, 283 games. He has most goals all time, right? In the league.
Yeah.
He broke it last year.
And then Bradley Wright Phillips, also a 2-time Golden Boot, a 3-time Supporter Shield, and a 2-time All-Star. And both of them have the longevity in the league, so I had to go with the 2 of them.
So I believe Wando is a 4-time goal. Oh, he's a 3-time Golden Boot winner. One of them was at the Gold Cup, so he's 3-time. The reason I'm jumping in here is because I have the same 2. Good job, Connor. Way to be on the same page here.
Yeah.
You pretty much hit everything about Wando, right? He Gold Cup winner, 3 top scorers, MLS MVP, 1 Supporter Shield in that time. He went on and he did break the goal scoring record. That's kind of something, right? I think a lot of people put him down because of World Cup 2014, which hurts, but you can't take away his league success for that. And realistically, all the goals that he scored for his scoring record outside of 5 were in the 2010 era, which is mental. He had 162 goals and 38 assists and 346 appearances. Then we move on to the greatest striker of all time, Frederick Phillips. 2-time Golden Boot, most goals in Red Bull history, fastest player to 100 goals, a record that if he stays around is probably going to get broken by a certain Atlanta striker, which happens. But it's clear that these two are easily some of the best that played in this position for their longevity, their continued success. Very rarely did you see a year where they were not scoring multiple goals outside of maybe last year where both of them were kind of iffy. And I think even Wando still put up really good numbers. Honorable mention, Robbie Keane. I mentioned it earlier. Just didn't play long enough. Josef didn't play long enough. Giovinco didn't play here long enough.
And he's playing a cam.
Anyways, all three of those. Kai Kamara, I like. He was just weird. You know, he was really good way back when. Still really good now. Just not one of those guys that you look at and was like, every year for 10 years, this dude was killing it. So I don't disagree with your honorable mention, but not for me. Oh, look, it's Adam's turn.
Yeah. So, obviously, and I don't want to say this out loud, I put Wando kind of just – I had to mention him, obviously, all-time leading goal scorer. However, I will make the argument that the reason he's the all-time leading goal scorer is because he spent his entire career in the league. There are so many strikers who have come in and, you know, obviously it's hard to see, you know, what Josef will do pace-wise in the next 2, 3, 4 years if he stays. But the fact that this man's come in and in 2 seasons has like half of Wando's record already doesn't reflect great on Wando. Like, yes, if I score 10 goals a season for 15 years, because I'm the only player who's been in the league for 15 years to do that, versus a guy who comes in for 5 years and scores, you know, 20 a season. You know, talent-wise, I don't put Wando in this team. I think just having that record gets him a lot of praise that I don't necessarily know if he deserves based on him as a player.
I think I just don't mean to cut you off. I think that's absolutely fair. I think it's a great point.
Agreed.
I don't think anybody is knocking him for his goal because he set the record because he never left.
Right.
I don't think anybody's knocking his ability because he never left, and that's why he's here for me.
Yeah. Again, and I don't mean to keep bringing him up, but in 2 years, Zlatan has literally half of his record at 37 years old or however old he is.
I think it's also important to remember that the league has changed. There are a lot more games that they're playing from the beginning, you know, so.
True.
So, you know, again, and that this is something that we can go into.
Right.
Whole episode.
Yes. But I think it's definitely a fair point.
Yeah, but my two, and I picked most of my picks were based on not necessarily longevity, but talent, like individual talent was a big factor. So if you came in, like I put Giovinco on my team because yes, he was in the league for a short time, but the short time he was in the league, he was unplayable at times. Like this man just ran through teams and did what he wanted. So my 2 picks up top are Landon Donovan. I mean, again, if we have Wando, the same kind of argument can be made for Landon. The face of our country pretty much alongside Dempsey and probably Tim Howard. You know, those MLS Cups, supporter shields with the Galaxy kind of speak for itself. I mean, that Galaxy team was pretty insane. And he was kind of that spearhead up top with Keane. And I guess Edson Buttle. But he's just a man who scores literally wherever he goes. Put him in the national team, put him in the Galaxy, put him with San Jose, put him at Everton. The man just finds the back of the net. And the other one was Thierry Henry. Same kind of reason for Bradley. I mean, the two of them up top was, God, I miss those days, because now we have Brian White and Tom Barlow, aka two generic white guys. I'm convinced if you start a new career mode in FIFA and don't actually touch anything, Brian White just comes out.
Oh my goodness.
But Thierry Henry is just the silkiest man I think I've ever seen play for Red Bull.
I think he's just one of the silkiest players I've ever seen play, period.
Yeah. I mean, he came in like he just makes this list. Like he came in 2010, which is crazy because now I feel old. But 32 years old when he came in, and he's scoring from a corner kick. He's scoring, he's lobbing the goalie for fun at one point. Like he was one of those guys who knew that he was miles ahead of everyone else in the league playing wise, and just said, I'm just going to abuse people.
I struggle to think of a person off the top of my head right now that compares to Thierry Henry's ability. Just because, granted, I watched him every week. But just the way that the ball he never missed a pass. He never, the way he dribbled the ball, his delivery, everything about it was just perfect.
MLS-wise, yeah, it's kind of – I'd make the argument for David Villa when he was at Barcelona.
Oh, I'm talking about in the league.
Right. No, I know. I'm trying to think, and it's tough.
No, for sure. And then, like I said, it was a key get and all that. But
it was – if you told me now that our team now was going to pull off someone like Henry, I think you were kidding, because we don't sign anybody now.
If you told me we were signing anybody, I wouldn't believe it.
Fair.
But hey, listen, I think this was a lot of fun. I think we had a good one. But we also have a question of the day.
Are we doing no manager?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Might. So if to everybody listening, if this lockout continues on and we don't play for a while and we run out of things to talk about, we might get a football manager challenge going where we each take control of our favorite MLS team. And we post videos to our YouTube channel to see if we can who wins the league first and who manages the best and all that type of stuff. So just stuff that you can ponder over while we wait. Here's my question for you lot. Would you rather, what's really funny? Adam brought this up 7 minutes ago, and I did not tell him about this before I go. Would you rather have a lifelong one club player for your team that scores 8 goals a year for 20 years and is an all-time great, or a player who comes in for 3 years, scores 20 goals, and then gets sold, 20 goals a season and gets sold? However, in each case, you only get to win one title, whatever you want, one MLS Cup, one Supporters Shield, one US Open Cup. So the length of time or the frequency of goals doesn't help your winning potential.
I'd rather have a shooting star where he comes in, destroys everybody, wins a trophy, scores 20 goals, and then pieces out.
Yeah.
Thanks for the memories. Go enjoy. You came here you did what you came here to do. Go away.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I have to pick that. That's what my team is eventually.
True.
Come in, tear it up, leave.
I personally am a fan of the guys who stick around, but that's just the way I play and the way I've always been. I'm a big one club player. Francesco Totti, love him. Players like that are just, they're just the type of guys that I look for, and I'm like, I want you on my team. So yeah. I go against you lot and say, give me my one club player, and I'll take my one MLS Cup in 20 years versus my 1 and 3, because guess what? I'm gonna wait 20 years anyway.
True. Yeah, I think that's tough because if you look at Totti, he wouldn't have cared if he never won a single thing with Rome.
No.
But that's what I mean. Like, if let's say you play for Red Bull, let's say you from 2010, the next decade, you are a consistent member of the Red Bulls team. You displace David Jensen and you become the goalie, which you could probably do right now. Whether or not you light the world on fire, you're happy to be in this team, right? Like, the fans are going to love you no matter what. Whether you win one MLS Cup, 0 MLS Cups, 8 MLS Cups, you're still happy doing what you want to do. Whereas if I told you, all right, Andrew, you're going to sign a 3-year contract to the Red Bulls. You're going to play every single game in those 3 years. And at the end, we're going to sell you no matter – you could be the greatest goalie. You could win the Ballon – you could be the first MLS player to win the Ballon d'Or. All this, like, everything. You're guaranteed an MLS Cup at the end of your 3-year contract. But no matter what you do in 3 years, we're selling you. I think most players say, totally fine, sign me up.
Oh, I agree. I think most players are like that completely. But it speaks to the old – and I guess I'm just an old-time person who enjoys this type of play where when you play for a club – it's a part of you, right? You're playing for something bigger than yourself. And I think these days it's way too much about give me the money, I'll come in and even if he does score 20 goals a year, like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, all I care about is what my bank account says at the end of the day. And, I remember when I played for my first club, Comac Cougars, we were awful. I mean, we were the C team that got bumped up to be the B team, but we were just like Division 6. Nobody was good. When that team folded and I went to the academy, the first team, I was genuinely upset because I loved playing for the Cougars because it was just like my first team. It was all about where I was. And I remember I tried out for a team in Village of the Branch. And I came home after the tryout and I said, I'm not playing there. I don't care if they take me because I could not picture myself as another kid. And it was one of those things where I didn't really care about where I played or how good the team was. I just wanted to be a part of a team that I cared about, right? So when I wanted to stay in the Comac system, I wanted to play for Comac teams. And that's why I think I stay on this side, is because it's very rare that you find somebody who is a one club player because he doesn't care about the money. He doesn't care about the results. He just cares about representing something that's more than himself. And I think that's something very rare, and it's something that if I had, I would hold on to forever.
Yeah, I think part of that's definitely the modern game. Mm-hmm. So you don't have a Francesco Totti, a John Terry, a Paolo Maldini, these guys that stay with the same club for 20 years. But also part of that is teams nowadays is just constantly, like, you have to keep refreshing your team. You can't have, half your team now be over the 30 out of contract, like, toward the end of their career. And then that's when you reset, like, reshuffle your team. So we on Chelsea, and I won't name names, have had 2 players who have been there for quite a few years, 7-8 years, I think. One has never scored more than double digits, either goal or assist in a season in his entire professional career. Has been fantastic as far as professionalism. He's had a few little bumps here and there, but he's, for a team like Chelsea that aspire to win the Champions League, have, the best players in the world. Yes, the loyalty is great, and I think this is probably his last season, and I'll be sad to see him go. But I don't know if I'm necessarily going to look back and be like, oh, I remember he was fantastic.
Yeah, and I think. Oh, go ahead, Connor.
No, I was just agreeing. I know exactly who you're talking about, and yeah, probably a name that if you like brought it up, I'd be like, oh wow, yeah, I remember him, but like, I'm never gonna think of it myself, probably.
Right. Like
It's probably
if you
bad I
name
don't know this guy.
the top 30, I'll give you top 30 wingers of the decade in the Premier League. I think he maybe just makes that list.
Possibly.
Oh, him?
Probably.
Okay. The other thing I was going to add is that you talk about how you always have to refresh your club, and I think that's been something for a while. However, it speaks to how good some of these players were, how legendary they were, that even when everybody was getting rotated around them, they
Yes.
stayed forever because they could, right? And again, it's different in MLS, right? Because we don't have legends here, right? You'll look at players. BWP is a legend.
Yes.
He will get a statue. Wando is a legend, but you don't look at them globally and think, "Oh my God, remember when Bradley Wright Phillips did that?" No.
How much of that is, and I'd have to obviously go back and look, but how many strikers did the Rebels bring in that Bradley Wright Phillips looked at and was like, "Oh my God, my spot's in. I don't know if I'm going to play now. Like this guy might push me to the bench."
None.
Maybe one.
I remember when they brought in David Soma on trial. They brought him and Robbie Finley in. And I was like, oh, God, this might be like the time they're trying to change things. And they both didn't make it. And then Brad was like, all right, bet, let's do it again. And he did.
Yeah, but year after year, this man was the undisputed striker in that Red Bull team. And the second choice was nowhere close to him.
Yeah. And you're right. You're absolutely right. And it's something that has set us up for where we are today because we've never had the guy coming up. We had Brian White was the guy coming up. And yeah, I love the guy, but you're right. He's not Bradley Wright Phillips. He's not Thierry Henry, and he does dirty work. And he was going to score 25 goals this year, and we knew that. But
oh no, okay.
No. So he was going to do a job, but he wasn't prolific, right? He wasn't the guy that we looked at was like, all right, we're safe. But I totally agree. And we could talk about this for hours. And just like everything we talk about, we could talk about for hours. But unfortunately, we only have a short time limit, and we are going to end it here. So, guys, thanks for listening. If you made it this long, go ahead and make sure to subscribe wherever you are listening to us because we will have our guests coming back. We've got former England Youth International Tracy Blake, who will be with us at some time soon. He was supposed to be here this week, but he couldn't make it. A few other interviews, one with somebody who works – Adam, I'll let you give him the proper title.
Yeah, so he's a research manager for NBC Sports. Ex-college roommate Brandon Glass. He's been there for a couple of years now, but works alongside Kyle Martino, the two Robbies, Rebecca Lowe. Sorry.
So you're just having yourself a day, man.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, tell me about it. But we've got a lot of really cool interviews coming up. We've got some ideas, like we mentioned, the football manager idea, as well as remember when they played here 11, which would be a really cool idea, I think, where we go through and list some of the biggest signings that you forgot played here. So just stuff like that. Again, it's dull. This break is not easy. It's not easy on us. We missed the game as well, but we're trying to give as much content as we can to get us through. So again, if you're interested in that type of stuff and you want to see us talk about that more, go ahead and subscribe to us wherever you are, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, literally every other podcast site we are now on. Does anybody else have anything else to say?
Nope.
No, sir.
Awesome. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all the other good stuff. And until the next episode, we will see you next time on the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.